Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we are going to present our business proposal CSC 2203 that written by Muhammad Syazwan, Hanis and Muhammad Nursalam. So this is our agenda that we want to present about network diagrams, client computer specification, file server specification, window operating system in client computer, window operating system in server, user software that using in client computer, system software that using in client computer, explanation of the DHCP server and DNS server. Okay, this is our network diagram. We use two server KPM and we are using 250 PC. Then we use 4 switch and 4 wireless router. The router in administration building is connecting to academic building 1 and academic building 2. Why we use two router in administration building? This is because we want to save our data. If some of router are broken, then we can use another router. Okay, this is our client computer specification. In academic building 1 and administration building, we use Intel Core i5 10 Gen because they are very powerful for using for students that using Visual Studio or stuff to connect the server or using the video box. And RAM that we use is 16 GB RAM and storage that we use is SSD 512 GB. GPU that we use is integrated graphic. This is because this is for academic building 1 for student like DIA, DCN or DG can use this PC and staff can use for server. And academic building 2 that we use is Intel Core i5 10 Gen, RAM 16 GB, storage SSD 512 GB, and GPU that we use is GTX 1650. This is for DCD student that using 3D rendering and animation. Okay, for the file server specification that we use is Intel Xeon processor E5-2643V2. There are many recommended for using Intel Xeon because there is powerful in connecting server and processing the data in the server. Okay, the RAM that we use is 64 GB RAM and storage that we use is SSD 2 TB. The Windows operating system that we use in client computer is Windows 11. The advantages of Windows 11 is performance, improve the feature, beautiful, more consistent designs, theme for everyone, and smooth multitasking for students that using VirtualBox or Visual Studio. Windows operating system that we use in server is Windows Server 2016. The advantages of Windows Server 2016 is new layer of security, privilege, identity protection, breach resistance, secure visualization, software-defined data centers, built-in SDDC capabilities, affordable and enterprise-ready, Azure and inspired infrastructure.
Okay, so I'll be presenting about the user software that you're using in client computers. So first of all, we got Microsoft Office, which is 1.6 GHz or faster, 2 cores, 4 gig RAM or 2 gig RAM, 32-bit, 4 gig of available disk space. We also put Google Chrome. The specs is second gen Core i5 2 GHz plus, or third or fourth gen Core i5 processor or equivalent. 128 MB of RAM and 100 megabytes of available disk space. Another thing that we added in our software is Visual Studio, which requires about ARM64 processor or 1.6 GHz or faster 64 processor, quad-core or better recommended. The minimum of 850 MB up to 210 gigabytes of available space, and also 16 gig RAM. So system software that using in client computer, we also added for our security, which is McAfee. 1 gigahertz processor architecture for Windows 64 and 86. 1.3 gigabytes free disk space, and also 2 gigabytes RAM. And also we decided to put WinRAR, which requires Intel Pentium or compatible for Windows 32-bit. 64-bit CPU and 64 bits Windows version. 3 MB free disk space and also 64 megabytes RAM. So, the function of DHCP servers and how to apply it into organization. So, the function, it manages and distributes IP addresses, prevent IP conflict, update IP address automatically, supports IP addresses, reuse. Okay, so how to apply the DHCP server in organization? Automatically assign IP address into the device in academic building and administration building. So the function is to convert the URLs and domains names into IP addresses as DNS records. DNS translates what a user types into a browser into something the machine can use to find a web page. This process of translation and lookup is called DNS resolution. So, DNS server can be applied by a client such as a web browser sends a query to the local DNS resolver, typically provided by the client's internet provider, ISP. The local DNS resolver checks its cache to see if it has a recent copy of the domain name's IP address. If it does, return the IP address to the client. If the local DNS resolver does not have a recent copy of the domain name's IP address, it sends a query to a root DNS server. The root DNS server is responsible for maintaining a directory of top-level domains such as .com, .org, or .edu. The root DNS server returns the IP address of the top-level domains, such as the .com DNS server, to the local DNS resolver. The local DNS resolver sends a query to the top-level domain DNS server, which is responsible for maintaining a directory of all second-level domains within the top-level domain. The top-level domain DNS server returns to the IP address of authoritative DNS server for the specific domain to the local DNS server. The local DNS resolver sends a query to the authoritative DNS server, which has the most up-to-date information about the domain name's IP address. The authoritative DNS server returns the IP address to the local DNS resolver, which in returns the IP address to the client. Alright, so that is all for our presentation. Thank you very much for listening, and 再见。